And we are live. Guys, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Let's Talk Fishing Video Podcast. The Let's Talk Fishing Video Podcast is brought to you by Grant Rods, Crusher Lures, and the American Bass Club. Tonight, guys, I have a very special young man, a man who's actually, I guess he's been guiding for several years, but I was just introduced to him today by a very good friend of mine, Zach Gagnard of the Elite Guide Service. And this guy also guides Sam Rayburn and a lake that some of us are going to be introduced to tonight. Fayette. Lake Fayette. Did I get that right, Hunter?
You got it right, man. Lake Fayette.
Okay. Anyways, I have none other than Hunter Sims. How are you doing tonight, Hunter?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show, man. You know, I say this in just about every one of my podcasts. I can't do this without you guys.
Well, I think this is a big first step for me and what I'm trying to do for myself, so I appreciate it.
First of all, Hunter is a guide, and one thing I fail to do is put his phone number up. So we're going to do that right now, Hunter.
Okay.
What's your phone number?
It's 318-312-2024.
Okay, 318. Oh boy. Sorry, Hunter. My computer was not.
Is there any way I could type it over in this chat in the studio thing for you? 312-2024.
2024. Okay, there we go. Scroll across the bottom, add that banner, and show. There we go. Did I get that right?
That's it, man.
Okay, guys. Now enough of this stuff. What I want to hear about, Hunter Sims is on the Giants. Now, explain to the folks who don't know where Fayette Lake is.
Lake Fayette is it's about an hour from Houston. It's around Round Top, Texas, very small place. Like they might have a caution light and a gas station out there near the lake. So if you plan on going, you better bring drinks and that kind of thing. But
is there lodging?
There is lodging near. There's a bunch of Airbnbs, and then there is also one place on the lake, I believe, that offers cabins, but they're usually booked up. So you better, try to plan ahead if you want to go. But very nice place. Lake Bastrop is right there, Bastrop, Texas. So you could stay in Bastrop. It's not too far of a drive, about 30 minutes from the lake. So they got a lot of, nice hotels, that kind of thing.
Okay. And why Fayette Lake or Lake Fayette?
Well, what happened was I was guiding for Zach and on Rayburn, and I had met a guy named Grayson Doyle, and he's from Georgetown, Texas. And he was in high school at the time. I was just graduated, and I could just tell he was kind of a natural. You have people that come on your boat, and then you have to teach them some things, or you have to direct them in some type of way. And this dude just had it, immediately. So I mean, it was a great 2 days of fishing with him, and we just clicked off and stayed in touch. And he had started catching some fish over in Texas, and we were always talking. And he said, "Dude," he said, "I'm on this lake," and he said, "It's like nothing you've ever seen." He's like, "You got to get over here." So me and my best friend, my partner that fishes with me all the time, if I'm not fishing, for clients or so be it, is Ryan Foy. And so me and him loaded up, and we went to Lake Fayette and met Grayson over there. And we had the first 2 days there was the most two epic days of bass fishing that I've ever had, and I've been fishing since my dad used to strap me onto the front seat of a boat pole, when I was 3 years old, and I'd be reeling in striper. So, I mean, I've been doing it my whole life, and I've never had the experience I had at that place. And my breast 5 the first day, I believe, went 38 pounds.
Jeez.
And, it's just unbelievable, man. We caught
38 pounds.
Over 6 pounds that day. It was just unreal. Yep, 38 pounds. And I wish I could have had some way to put up a picture of that bag, because I have a picture of all those fish. And then the next morning, Grayson actually had gotten sick and wasn't feeling well. And so he was like, "Well, man, y'all are here. Y'all already drove all the way here." He's like, "Y'all take my boat out." So me and Ryan went out for the first couple of hours that morning. It was 4-foot swells, north wind. I mean, just terrible fishing conditions. We were like, man, this is not going to be good like it was yesterday. And sure enough, we pull up on the first spot. Ryan throws out there, and it's a 7-4. And I'm like, wow, this place doesn't stop, And I think we ended up with 32 pounds that next day. But it's an unbelievable lake. And then, we went back over there and fished a couple of weeks, and just every time you go, it's 26 plus pounds with your best 5, catching anywhere from 50 to 80 fish a trip. Just
so
unreal.
you also guide at Sam Rayburn.
Yeah, Sam Rayburn. It's great. I love Sam Rayburn. It has its times. Sam Rayburn does, and it has its better times and down times, I guess you could say, like anywhere else. But I'd still love to do trips on Rayburn. If anybody would like to go there, let me know. I'd love to take you. But Lake Fayette is what we're going to really try to favor this winter, just because the winter bite's going to be absolutely unreal. I'm expecting some 45 to 50 pound bags this winter.
Wow, that's quite a prediction there, Hunter.
I believe it to happen, because we were catching these bags in June and July, the dog days of summer, when these fish are just at their minimum.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Wow. I don't know what. So let's talk confidence lures. When Hunter goes out there, you got a client. This client's got money. I mean, I guided for 17 years. Okay, so I know.
Yeah.
I know this guy's got money, but I got to impress him, because he's not going to be impressed with a 12-incher.
Right.
I'm going to have to get him a 24-incher. What is Hunter going to put on?
For one, I mean, I don't leave the landing without a football jig tied on.
Okay.
I prefer, Berkeley had just came out with their, I believe, I can't remember. I think it's the Fusion, of course, Berkeley Fusion version of their football jig. But this is a 3/4 ounce, just a watermelon red. But
it's an awesome, man. You like 3/4 ounce? That's a big jig, man.
Yeah, it's a big jig. I like to I like a 3/4 ounce, because a lot of I like to stroke my jigs more than I do drag or hop, as people would say.
What do you mean? Okay, so you mean hop? Okay, I was going to ask you, what do you mean by that?
By stroking, I mean by stroking, you kind of come in the same sense as what I was about to tell you. The next bait that I throw is like a spoon. You get a lot more bites out of a lot more reaction out of a bait that's being pulled by a fish's face really fast than you would be a bait they've seen 100 times come by like this, But if I want somebody to catch a big fish, I'm going to pound in their head all day. Don't put down the big spoon. I prefer the 6-inch Nichols Lures shattered glass spoon. I throw it absolutely everywhere. There's not a lake in the state of Louisiana, state of Texas that I fished that I have not caught a fish over 6 pounds on this bait right here.
Okay, and explain to the folks how you would work that.
So basically, what you're doing with this bait is you're throwing it out there. Of course, you're usually throwing it with your live sonar nowadays, of course. So I find my fish. I usually try to set them up between 30 and 40 feet. And of course, if you don't throw past the fish, then your whole cast is ruined. So
sure, bring it in and try again. Yeah,
past these fish, and I usually let my bait fall all the way to the bottom, depending on where the fish are sitting in the water column. But I let this bait hit the bottom, and then I give it 3 hard pops, boom, 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 and then I let my slack fall back down. And I slowly reel it back down till it gets tight. And I pop it again.
So you do what I call escort it down, right? Pop, and
basically scored it down. And then also, oftentimes, if you can't get a bite doing that, you can just one big drag up. You just let that bait flutter up and just let it fall back down, reel your slack out.
So you have positive control on it when it's going down, right?
Right. I mean,
you can still feel that bait fluttering.
Right. And I mean, these, the 7-10 pound fish eating this bait, you would expect that your bite would just be bam, but usually they hit this bait on slack line with just a small tick, and then it, you reel back down, and then it's on. But
that was going to be my next question. So you got a big hunk of metal there.
Yeah, and actually this is a 6-inch, and this winter I plan to throw I have a 12-inch.
Sure.
The HD 6 cents makes it the HD spoon. They make a
Sure.
Magnum size, but I have it over there on my board, but I didn't bring it because, of course, I haven't thrown it yet. But I'm ready to throw it. It's going to be, it's 12 inches long. I threw it with Tyler Stewart. He's a FLW pro. Shout out to him, by the way. Always been a big look up figure to me. But I threw those 12-inch Magnum spoons the first time with him on Lake Fork. I had went on a guided trip with him, and they kind of stuck with me since then.
Okay, so that was going to be my next question. When something hits a big spoon like that, so I didn't think that they just try to pull the rod right out of your hands, but do they hold on to that thing? Because as soon as they grab it, I mean they got to know. I mean, I've caught salmon on spoons, but I've caught bass on blade baits.
And they devour it. I can't tell you how many times I've had to straighten those hooks out on that bait right there, just because of how far back they eat it, and you have to get down there with your pliers and get it out. They really do. They engulf it. I have 2-pound fish that their mouths will be stretched open, all crazy because they can't even fit it in their face. But it's a cool bait to throw.
That does sound like a cool bait to throw. I've done very little spoon fishing. I probably have 8 or 10 spoons I've never used.
Right. Yeah,
I had a guy send me a bunch of them.
Definitely a big fish catching bait.
Where am I going to use this? Every place everything around here is like 2 feet of water.
Well, you're going to throw this. I mean, I throw it out on main lake points, drains, rock piles. I fish a lot of rock piles in Fayette, that type of thing. Old bridges, road beds. Anything you can get down there and clank. If there's any kind of structure down there, I'm for sure throwing that spoon, any kind of hard structure, because it's so loud when it clanks off of it. So
but I think I fish cypress knees, drains that are 2 feet deep.
Oh yeah.
You would still use a spoon?
I would. I'd probably still throw this that I throw out deep. I'd probably still.
Is that a Yum? Who makes that?
Mega Bass. Yeah, this is the Mag Draft. This is the 6-inch. But I would probably still throw that, to try to get a big bite.
Now, are you using an offset worm hook with that Mega Bass?
No, it actually comes. They come with a hook built into them. Let me turn this around. I forgot it was opposite. So basically, this one's brand new. Like I said, I just grabbed these off my board. But normally, what I do is I take this hook that goes into your bait, and I bend it. And I bend it straight up, and then and it really helps your hook stay in there a whole lot better.
Is that a treble hook or?
Yeah, that's a treble hook. I believe this is a 2-aught.
Okay.
This is a 2-aught, and I believe this is a 5-aught here. This is on the 8-inch.
Wow. And how do you explain to the folks how you work that thing?
Basically how you're working this bait. The colder it gets, the better this bait gets, because of if you can notice how floppy, this thing is, it never stops moving down there. So you can turn your spool a quarter of an inch at a time, you're just barely reeling this thing, and this thing's just down there flopping, so it's really hard for them to resist it. So basically what I do is just barely reel it along the bottom, and this bait sits up like this.
Wow.
That's all it is to it. Just a slow reel, slow retrieve. It's not like of course, I guess I can go ahead and pull this out. Going to plan on throwing these a lot.
Big old glide bait, huh?
Yeah, this is the Cali 9-inch Cali Glide. Super impressive bait. Not that I'm trying to find my camera here. Not that pricey either, but compared to your other glide baits. But
oh yeah,
very good bait. That bait there, you're kind of
more than my custom rods, man.
You're quarter turning that bait there,
So you're just barely moving these things.
Right. You're trying to give these things the most damaged displayed presence, that, hey, I'm wounded, eat me.
Okay, so the soft plastic glide bait you were talking about, the Mega Bass stuff, do you use any kind of weight in front of it?
Oh, no, sir. I mean, they come, they're a huge bait. It's an 8-inch glide bait. I figured they would have exactly how heavy this bait is. This is a 3-ounce bait.
Wow.
So yeah, this is a 3-ounce bait. It handles itself as far as sinking.
So you're probably using an 8-foot long rod that you can just catapult that thing out there.
I am. I'm throwing a 711 custom MGX rod. Yeah, with a Daiwa Tatula reel.
Oh, I love the Daiwa Tatulas.
Yeah,
man.
it's a great reel. Throw it a lot for my big
love the Daiwa Tatulas.
Swim baits, that type thing.
That is cool. That's cool, Hunter. Huh?
Really, it's all this stuff. I never grew up throwing hardly any of these baits. I threw some spoons and big crankbaits with my dad, growing up. But I never got to throwing any of these big baits till the live sonar came out. It's really kind of changed the game.
Do yourself a favor. Don't throw those things up north.
Don't throw them up. Hey man, I've been watching. I watch a lot of videos where people catch smallmouth. They love this little 6-inch mag draw.
Well, yeah, they do. They do. I'm not telling you that don't throw them up there because you don't want to catch smallmouth. But there's also things up there with teeth like muskies and northern pike.
Oh yeah, they probably.
If you're fishing someplace,
yeah.
If you're fishing in the Great Lakes in the right place, you're going to catch steelhead and maybe even a salmon in those things.
Right.
It's just that's why I like to throw Ned rigs.
Oh, you can't never go wrong with a Ned rig. That, or I tell everybody, there's not a body of water in the United States you can't put a drop shot and a pink robo worm on and catch a fish.
Or I like to say that about
that kind of always called it the pink worm. Get out the pink worm.
Weightless wacky rigging, yes.
Can't beat it neither.
Same thing. Weightless wacky rigging. There isn't bass waters anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
I've seen bass.
I fully agree with that too. That or just a Texas rig weightless Senko. You can catch a fish anywhere on Senko.
There we go. We got our first comment. It's Robert Maddox, and Robert Maddox says, "That's my boy."
That would be my brother-in-law. I'm at my mother and father-in-law's house right now using their Wi-Fi. So, because my Wi-Fi.
Heather Maddox says, "I want to go fishing." So you're getting some. This is cool. I like it when this happens. I like it when people get involved. That's really nice. That's really cool, Hunter. So man, that kind of got me off. So so you're using this on. Let me see if I can get this right. Lake Fayette.
Right.
Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Jeez. Sorry, it was a hell of a day today.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, I was moving appliances. So, there's Joel Sims. Joel Sims says, "I taught him everything he knows."
That's my dad.
Okay. I would say the same thing to my son. Don't listen to him. He's full of crap.
Well, he did. He taught me everything I know. Him and my pawpaw.
That's awesome, man. Thank you guys. You know what? The Simses and the Maddoxes, thank you guys for commenting. I appreciate that. That just makes it so much a better podcast to have people come in and actually, get involved in the discussion. So we were talking about glide baits. Now, what kind? So you're talking that you have to have the bass targeted first on your forward-facing sonar.
Right.
Okay, so you see the bass. The bass is in 30 feet of water, and you're going to cast out past him, let out some line so that your bait's going to go straight down.
Right.
Then you're going to start working it past the bass. And now, if you have that 8-inch soft plastic, you're just going to barely pull that thing, right?
You're just gonna. I mean, you get it once you get to where he's at in the water column, which 9 times out of 10, a fish that really wants to eat and that you can catch is going to be set up on the bottom. So that's what I'm going to look for, on any kind of structure. So throw it out there, let it sink past the fish, and I'm just going to slow retrieve it. The slower. I always think the slower the better because, like I said, is it more of that damage display to say, "Hey, I'm wounded, come eat me" type thing more than you would, something that they see 100 times a day. That's what I always try to think. Do something different.
Interesting. We also have another comment from Haley Dempsey. Says, best fisherman we know. Proud of you.
Thanks, Haley. That's my sister-in-law. My family's going crazy on here.
Well, that's great. I'm very happy that they came and I'm very happy they came and commented.
It's cool. It's the first time I kind of got to experience anything like this. I'm glad that.
I am honored to have you on as a first time guest on a podcast. This won't be your last one either.
Well, I appreciate it. I hope it's not. It's pretty cool. I think it's a cool way to get your name out there and share information.
We'll also have you on the Bassin Magazine podcast. Because Brad's the owner of Bassin Magazine. He loves to talk about glide baits and big old swim baits.
Well, I hope I'm ready. I'm ready to put it into action. It's about that time. We got the first cold front came through. Water starting to cool off.
One of our good friends is one of the big boys over at Dual Realis. David Swinside. He loves Roman Made. Roman Made makes some really, really, really good swim baits.
Right.
We talk to him all the time. He helped us get the Bassin Magazine podcast going. And I know he's going to be happy about this. He's going to be happy that we talked about. Do you use any Roman Made?
I don't, man. I'm such a believer in that Mega Bass Mag Draft, man.
Mega Bass.
That's all I throw.
So the Mega Bass is that the solid glide bait?
No, the Mega Bass is this soft swim bait.
Sure. And who makes the glide bait? And
then this is the glide bait. This is a 9-inch Cali Glide.
Cali Glide. I know you said that. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Cali Glide.
We talked about a lot of things.
They're a newer company.
Now is that a rainbow trout pattern?
No, this is just silver shad, so this is going to favor like your gizzard shad or anything like that.
Well, yeah, gizzard shad get that big too.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
The thread fins only get about 3 inches. Yeah.
Caney Lake, they'll come up eating shad, the size of your fist.
So you fish Caney Lake too?
Yeah, that's where I grew up fishing. That's my home lake, I guess you would say.
I have a guide on from Caney Lake quite often too.
I don't know who would it, Greg Davis maybe?
No, the guy from Caney Lake Fishing and Fellowship.
I'm not sure. I'm sure if you say the name, maybe I'll know it because I kind of, I hear names around there, but I don't know a whole lot of people personally, I guess.
Okay, let's continue to moving on. I'm not going to spend the whole time. Okay, here's somebody else, Lauren Honeycutt. She says, "Look at you, Hunter." And Haley Dempsey says, "Boy's going to make it big." So your family is giving you a vote of confidence there.
They want me to make something out of it. I hope I can one day. So
you will. And doing stuff like this is going to help you. Okay, let's talk about other things. Like in the middle of summer, how are you going to target bass?
Middle of summer, definitely going to fish brush top. I try to focus on brush tops mainly in the summer. Early morning, I'm throwing a frog because if you don't like throwing a frog, then you're not human. So I love throwing a frog at daylight in the summertime. Then mainly I like chasing schooling fish. You can always find schooling fish in the summer. But
really? Okay.
Targeting big bass, and I'm gonna be fishing brush tops with that baby right there.
What? I'm sorry. Let me see that.
What
are you targeting?
I'm fishing brush tops, and I'm usually dragging a big worm. This one specifically is the Lake Fork Lures 10-inch ribbon tail worm.
Okay. Are you going to Texas rig that then?
Texas rigging, yeah, 1/4 ounce weight, Texas rig.
Ooh, 1/4 ounce weight. Okay.
I like throwing a 1/4 ounce. I feel like I get through brush a whole lot better.
And it's not going to get hung up as much.
Right.
Okay, I'm thinking that Caney Lake guy. I think his first name is Vince.
I'm not sure who that is.
Vince Richards. Yep, it's Vince Richards.
Don't ring a bell. I have no idea.
Okay, yeah, he's a guy down there on Caney Lake, but that's also, you're not talking a 500-acre lake. I mean, that's huge.
That's an awesome lake though, man. Caney is awesome.
Caney Lake, yeah.
I think it holds the next state record there, or Bussy Break. I think the next state record will come from one of those two.
Well, they came close to Bussy Break with 13-1.
They did, yeah.
Caught during the, geez.
My aunt, I believe, you could check this. I might be wrong, but my aunt still has the second biggest in the state. My mom's sister,
Wow.
I believe, a little over 16. She caught it in a kayak also here.
16 pounds. Is that in Texas?
No, that was in Louisiana, at Lake Valentine or Valentine Lake. Not sure, one of the two.
That must be a small lake.
Very small, yeah. You can't even put a motorized boat in it. Yeah. A freaking hammer, man. Yeah, it's a giant.
but for a 13-pound girl to be caught during a tournament in Louisiana,
that's unreal.
Bussy Break. I mean, nobody heard about Bussy Break.
No,
unless you're a local.
It had just opened. Unless you're a local. But it definitely put it on the map, because after they left that place, man, I went up there and fished it a couple of times, and you couldn't put another boat in the parking lot. So it definitely got what it was.
That's such a big story right there. That's such a big story.
Right.
Oh, and here we go. We got Cajun Rob, who's a very good friend of mine. He said, "Good evening, fellas." And also there's Hayden Maddox says, "Go Hunter, people lining up to fish with you." This is one of my more popular podcasts as far as commenting goes. I've had more people on before, but most of the people just sit there and say nothing. But not Hunter's family.
They're talkers, man. They'll talk to you.
Yeah. Well, Hunter, I'm a radio talk show host.
Well, I'm sure you're good at it. I was not ever really good at talking to people until I got a job in the roofing that I do for my father-in-law. I never really had people skills until then. I kind of got threw out to the wolves and learned how to talk to people and do the job at the same time. But I'm good at it now.
You have to have people skills in order to be a successful fishing guide. You can be the best fisherman that's ever been. But if you're going to be a jerk in the boat, I'm not getting in the boat with you.
Right. Yeah. Well, you always got to try to keep people laughing the whole time. So that's what I always say. I'll tell them, they say, are we gonna catch them? I say, well, I don't like to put a bad voodoo on us, but we're gonna have fun. That's what I like to tell people.
I had a guy. I started guiding back in 1998. Shortly after that, the guy who ran the concession and bait shop and boat rental on the lake started up a message board. And one of the first messages was, I was out there in the lake tonight, and guide Jay Angel was out there, and he was singing the SpongeBob song. Well, hell yeah. I had a 4 and a 6-year-old girl on my boat, and Dad wanted to fish.
Hey, man, I would have been excited for SpongeBob. I'm still a SpongeBob fan to this day.
Yeah. Well, and I had young kids at the time,
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. I was out there singing that to entertain his girls while he could fish. The dude could fish then, and he was so happy, man. That's how you get a $100 tip.
Right, yeah. For sure.
I mean, that's exactly. Oh, and here's Zach Gagnar, a good friend of yours and mine. Going to be one of the best. Y'all better watch out. One of the best younger guys, and no one knows about, but they about to. Okay. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Zach's been a big help for me. He really has. He's the whole reason that I got the chance to talk to you tonight. And
Well,
kind
I
of
called Zach and I
feed
wanted
in
him. I said,
world,
Zach, I want you on. And Zach said, man, can we postpone that? And I said, well, why? He said, I'd like to have a young man named Hunter Sims on. I said, that's cool. Tell me about him. He started telling me about you. And I said, well, give him my contact information. Tell him he's on tonight.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of nervous at first. I wasn't sure how it was gonna be. Of course, like I said, it was my first time doing it.
Well,
But
it's
it was
just
great.
you and I talking fishing. I'm sure you spent a lot of time talking fishing.
Right. That's what Ryan told me. Ryan said, dude, he's like, think about it as me and you talking fishing, because me and him have sat outside and talked fishing for 2 hours before we even realized what happened. So
And Jackie Sims just came on and said, I agree, Zach.
that's my mom.
That's your mom?
That's my
Well,
mom, dude. They're all on. Yeah, I sent it in the group chat. So
thank you for tuning in, Miss Jackie. Thank you for tuning in. So, man, back to fishing. So in the middle of the summer, you're going to be throwing 1/4 ounce big old worms.
big worms. No
Now
doubt.
the big old worm is actually a Cajun Lures thing. That's his.
That's a way to put it. Yeah, but I guess the old monster. I throw a lot of the old monster also, but
And that's Zoom, right?
yeah, that's Zoom. But I try to really how we do it is really, it seems like the tougher that it gets, the hotter the water gets and the less the fish are biting, the bigger the worm you throw.
Now, do you ever throw any like 12-inch straight worms?
100%. Yeah, we do.
100%, because I have a company up in
Throw a lot of
Wisconsin
bull
that makes
worms.
those.
Upton, I believe it is Upton worms. My dad found those actually a few years back. We started using them on Caney and having a whole lot of luck with them, and then I really kind of started using them everywhere. It's a really good bait.
So middle of the summer, you find you a brush pile, and you see crappies up on top of the brush pile,
Right.
but you can't see any bass. Them bass, are you still going to throw something to that brush pile, or are you going to look
I'm
for?
gonna throw something in there one time, but usually 9 times out of 10, if you see a bass that's in there that's going to bite your bait anyway, he's going to be coming in and out of that brush pile on live sonar.
Okay,
You're going to be
now that makes sense.
seeing these fish circulating in and out, up and down, all around. They're kind of surrounding this brush top, sitting in different ambush points. Eating bait or crappie or whatever they're down there feeding on. So that's why if you see a fish in there, it's really more important other than saying, damn, he's not going to bite. We need to leave and go somewhere else. And you need to swap angles and throw it a different angle, but, line up on that fish different. It'll probably bite eventually. But if you can see a fish, consistently moving in and out of that pile, that's kind of when you would need to fish it anyway. And if you don't see that action on the pile, then, I don't fish it, to be honest.
So you're going to be looking for a different brush pile, and I'm
Right.
sure you know thousands of them.
I know where a good many of them are. Yeah, I know where some are, and they've been there so long that they're actually starting to deteriorate now. So,
Sure.
I need to do a good refill on some places.
Okay, we have another comment. It's Cajun Rob. He says, "Have you tried the Megabass Mega Draft?" I think that says 7. It's the hottest lure up in Tennessee and Kentucky. Local bait shops can't keep them in stock.
No, I haven't actually, but I'll have to check that out. He said, what was that now?
The Megabass Mag Draft 7.
Mag Draft 7. So that might be a 7-inch. I know they made a 5-inch in this, but now usually all you can find is a 6 and an 8. But they might have come out with a middle. Hopefully they did. Whopper Popper and all them ended up doing the same thing whenever they made the 90 and the 130 and ended up having to make the 110.
Okay, Louisiana Outdoors just said, "Preach, brother." Thank you, Louisiana Outdoors. Thank you for coming here and and commenting.
Thank you, whoever you are. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Louisiana Outdoors. Why don't you contact me by direct message through my Facebook if you'd like? I'd like to talk to you. And I asked Rob what the mag draft was. I really don't want to take the time to
I'm sure I could look it up. I mean,
he said it's a 6 inch.
Oh yeah, the 6-inch. Yeah, for sure. Throw it a lot right here, man. Love to throw it.
Okay, I asked, is that it? But do you use any other colors other than just silver?
Yeah. So of course you got to throw a trout color, because if you don't own a rainbow trout glide bait, then you don't fish big glide bait. So I like throwing the
Yeah.
trout, and then anything shad favoritism. I like throwing flashy, so silver, gizzard shad, anything like that. I don't. The only time I really go bright colors is if I'm throwing something like a citrus shad 5 or 6 X deep.
There you go. Now,
You
now
know,
you also like throwing big crankbaits, huh?
yeah.
Or that's not a big crankbait. I mean, a deep crankbait.
Zach is the reason. Zach Gagner is the reason that I throw this bait. I would have
Okay.
never started throwing this bait if it wasn't for him. Just because I didn't have confidence in sitting there drenching a big crankbait, But
Now, is that one of those crankbaits like if you throw it out and start reeling, if you're in a kayak, it's going to pull you towards it?
100%, yeah. You basically, but like you're fighting a fish.
Yeah.
If you're in a kayak, yeah, no doubt.
Now, why don't you explain to these guys, because I've thrown those things before with pros and guides like yourself, but I've never thrown them by myself. A bite feels a little different.
The bite. Now I ain't gonna lie, man. If they're eating that big crankbait, they're gonna take the rod out of your hand.
Yes.
They're as hard as that thing feels like it's pulling away from you. You think it's pulling away, it's really gonna pull away from you.
But also, I've been reeling that thing. And, oh, come on. I'm getting tired. I've thrown this thing for an hour now, and all of a sudden it just goes limp.
Championship my senior year of high school on Toledo Bend, and me and Ryan Foy, that guy I was telling you about earlier, we threw one of these for so long that day that we had like bruises in our rib cages, and then he stripped the bearings out of one of my 13 fishing reels that day, throwing one.
I bet he did.
So many fish on it.
But have you ever experienced, I was reeling that thing in, and all of a sudden I thought I lost it. And I'm like, I must not have tied that knot good. And the guy I was fishing with looked over at my line. He said, reel up as fast as you can. I did. And
that baby had it, didn't he?
Well, something took it and ran towards the boat.
Yep.
And I'm reeling in at a good click. It wasn't a striped bass. It was a largemouth bass. Not anything remarkable, like 3.5, 4 pounds. That's not what we were looking for.
Right. Yeah, I have that happen a lot. Really, when I'm throwing a football jig, you'll get on some fish eating a football jig, and you'll throw it out there, and you'll be like, "Damn, was my bait sink?" And then you'll reel up, and it'll be 20 feet to the right.
Yeah, that's what you say. You took that bass for a walk.
Yeah.
Actually, a pro, one of the guys, when I first started doing this back in like 1997 or 98. We were sight fishing bedding bass up in Wisconsin, and I asked the pro, now 1 ounce bait in 3 feet of water. He said, watch this, and he came up on a bedding bass, and he cast that thing out there, and it was probably 20 yards away. We're both sitting there like this with our Polaroids on, and that bass picked that jig up out of his bed and took it 20 yards that way and dropped it.
Set it down.
He said, you see that? That's what we call taking a walk.
That's crazy.
He said, if you're not paying attention, that's what they'll do. And he's like, I could have caught that bass, but I just wanted to show you that, yes, the bass will pick up something that weighs 1 ounce and just swim around with 1 ounce of lead in their mouth.
And go set it down somewhere else. Yep.
Yep. If they're bedding.
They sure will.
Now, if that fish really wanted to eat, that thing would have been done its gullets.
Have you ever? I've never personally done this, but I heard old timers used to do this on a bedding fish that wouldn't bite. Now I've never done it. I swear I haven't. I don't even think it's illegal, but I'm just going to tell you. Okay, so they would say, you go up to one of these 8-10 pound fish on a bed that won't bite, right?
Yeah.
They would set an object in there, like some kind of object that couldn't move, like a brick or just something heavy. It couldn't move out of the bed. And that fish would sit there and try to move that heavy thing for so long. By the time you came back and flipped your bait in there, there's no question on if it's going to move that little bitty bait out of there.
It's hungry too.
It's hungry. It's mad. So I've heard of people. I've heard of people putting stuff in their beds and coming back and doing that. But it's crazy.
I've never done that, and I've never heard of that. But the way I first started fishing bedding bass back in the 70s, to show you how old I am. What was with full night crawlers, and you had to. Bill Binkelman taught us how to thread it just so, and pull your hook back here and put it back in there ever so carefully and not put any weight on it, and make sure that your night crawlers are the most lively things you can possibly put them in ice water and let them, they come out growling at you, and you throw that out there and it's going like this.
Yeah.
Boy, that thing comes down there on the bed going like this, that fast.
I've never thought to throw a live night crawler on it,
but no, this was back in the 70s when, they had the Man's Jelly Worm and a few pre-rigged worms, and, the Bomber Bait Company and Fred Albergrost and the Big O.
Oh yeah.
There wasn't all this stuff available back then. They didn't have good electronics. They had the green box from Lowrance that was a flasher. You really had to fish.
Is that the electronic that would kind of just draw the figure on the paper?
It didn't draw anything. Nope. This was before that. It just had a round thing that it went and it would put red lines where the bottom was, and if you saw any red lines between the bottom and the top, you knew that was a fish. That's a fish. That's a fish. There's one at 6 feet.
Wow. That's
so
cool.
You can only see things directly below you. So yeah, that's just a little bit of fishing history. I experienced.
Yeah.
And you fished a lot by, okay, right there's the weed bed right there. Okay, the weed bed, we'd stop, throw out the anchor.
Yep.
That's literally how we would do it back then, So we went out to a weed line and we found, a place that the weed line was irregular, came about 10, 15 feet off of that because, of course, we didn't have these rods that would cast 100 yards back then.
Right.
And nobody used bait casters except if you were fishing muskies. You look at this. Joel Sims says, caught many a bass on a Big O and a little N. Yep. Hey, Joel, me too. I love my Big O's. And hula poppers.
A hula popper.
Bassarinos. Yeah.
He was always a big believer in I can't tell you how many times I've heard him say, you should have threw a clear tiny torpedo.
Tiny torpedoes. I mean, I've caught bass on those. And Andy Dempsey says, #cornbread is proud.
I call him Cornbread. That's Andy's nickname.
And Cajun Rob said the 6-foot pistol grip rods on a mono that's old school. Yeah. 6-inch pistol grip bait casters.
Oh yeah. My pawpaw has I think my dad still has a room full of my pawpaw's old rods that were all pistol grips about this long. I remember catching fish on them as a kid, and it would sound like you ever got a whipping with a switch when you were a kid, and you hear whoosh, whoosh, whenever you'd set the hook, it whoosh.
Keep those nice, man. Those are going to be worth a lot of money someday.
I wouldn't trade them for any bit of money in the world. Those.
Yep. Well, hey, Hunter, please, this is the time of the podcast when it's time for you to do shout outs to any people, organizations, or companies that have helped you along the way, sponsors, anything.
Well, really, I haven't built up a list of sponsors or anything like that yet. I really am just now kicking off and kind of trying to branch off away, from Zach. I'm not trying to completely leave Zach. I'm still working with Zach, of course, when he needs me, but I can say Visual Concepts and Designs has helped me. That's a marketing place here in Alexandria. They've helped me some, and then Grayson, of course, Grayson Doyle. That's who I'm doing the Mayhem Fishing Company. That's the name of our guide service. That's who I'm doing that with. He's been a big help, and think we're going to be really great partners in it. And as far as people that who I would thank for even me being here and where I'm at, I guess this far in fishing, it would be my dad and my pawpaw, of course. My pawpaw, I lost him when I was 14, but that was my, that was my role model. That was my creek buddy. I grew up fishing out of a kayak or P-row in a creek with him. That's kind of where it all started. And
P-row, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and my dad, taught me everything. And then Zach had a big influence in my life at around, the age 14, 15, 16 years old. And I was kind of in that time of getting into, the big time bass fishing out deep, wanting the big boat, wanting the nice stuff, and then I met Zach, and you know, he kind of clicked off with me. I always say he's like a big kid, you know, so we got along really well as I was that age, and he kind of helped me, you know, put my feet in the guiding business, and, you know, show me the ways to really fish out deep. I wouldn't know anything that I know about
So he
electronics if
got
it
you off the
wasn't.
bank. Awesome.
Yep.
That's hard to do with these Southern boys. And man, these Southern boys kick my ass every time I get in the boat with them. So I'm not saying anything bad about the Southern boys, but as a Northern boy, I know how to fish offshore structure, and I know
Right.
how to fish it. And I'm not saying anything bad about forward facing and radar or
Oh man.
sonar. I mean, I fished it for so many years without that, and you know, then it's all
Me
instinct.
and I can still, you know, like if I'm out deep and I'm on a lake here local, you know, if I don't have a client, of course, I'm always trying to stay out deep if I have a client, because that's the only way you're really going to find that mega school of fish that you can catch, you know, 3 5-pounders, or, you know, some fish to make them happy fast. But I still always go back to fishing shallow. If you can't, you know, if you can't be happy throwing a frog and a wacky rig down a high driller line, then, you know, you don't need to be there anyhow. So
Man, you know, I'm wearing the Missile Baits hat. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to throw the 48 weedless, no, not weedless, but weightless, wacky style down that hydrilla line.
oh yeah, you can't beat
And
it,
I
man.
will catch fish, and, you know, you can be in the front casting your frogs.
I
It's
love
just the way
throwing
I like to
frogs.
fish, you know. It's just the way I like to fish.
Oh yeah,
I'm a super finesse kind of guy. It's just
I love finesse fishing myself too. Yeah, but I mean, I like finesse fishing when it's time to finesse fish. But I mean, if you can catch them on them big power baits, you know, that's what I'm going to be doing.
it's just so I just think it's so exciting. You feel the thump, and you start reeling up, and I can see that my line's going away faster than I can reel.
Oh yeah, give them the beans.
And when I rear back with that Grant rod, geez,
Yep,
oh,
it's a good feeling.
mm,
That line wine,
yeah.
that's my favorite.
Then you can hear the braid sing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love it, love it, love it, man. You know what, Hunter? Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I
Thank you
know
again for having me, man, and I'd like to do it again sometime. Maybe after we get on this big fall bite and winter bite, and we can get on and talk about the success that we're hoping to have. So
well, we were talking about, you know, Zach, me coming down there and fishing with Zach and fishing with you too. And I'll do a lot of YouTube taping for that, and
cool, cool
we'll
deal.
have you. We'll put both of you guys in videos. So,
Well, just
anyways,
let me
I'd like
know
to.
if you're gonna come, man. I'll pull the boat over there and meet you guys. We'll go have fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're gonna do, Hunter. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. I particularly want to thank Hunter's family for coming on and taking the time to comment. You know, I just love that, guys. Thank you so much. Hunter, stick around after we end the podcast, but I'd like to thank everybody. Also, the Let's Talk Fishing podcast was brought to you tonight by Crusher Lures, Grant Rods, and the American Bass Club. And with that, tonight, man, guys, get out there and have some fun. You only get to do this once.
That's right.